Hey guys, so obviously on a day-to-day basis at my role in Cub, I get to spend a lot of time with our country's most accomplished entrepreneurs and business owners. And I have a lot of great conversations with these people. But I think one of the things that gets missed is their origin story. So where did they come from and how did they get to where they are today? Welcome to Origins. Today I'm here with Rowston. Lockie is a Cub member and he's somebody who's come into my life about 8 months ago and has changed it in a big way for the better. He's someone who I've got a lot of respect and admiration for, and I'm excited to have you. Why don't you start off by giving us a bit of a rundown on the businesses that you're currently operating?
Sure. Well, I appreciate the wrap. That's very nice of you. And yeah, I mean, it's been good not only to be at the club, but also to have like a great friendship now. So I own and operate for the last 7 years Creature Fitness, which is what most people at the club know me for. So boutique fitness gyms in Sydney. We had 3 at the start of 2020. We now have 2. And now we're opening a 3rd gym, which is not Creature Fitness, which is Locker Room. That's in the city, which we can get into. But then we've also done, alongside all of this, the My Muscle Project, which is Australia's #1 fitness podcast. And we've done that for the last 6 years.
Awesome. And yeah, as I said, I'm a member of Creature Fitness, and yeah, can't speak more highly of the work that you and your team do over there. But as I said, love the business and love what you're doing now. But what I'm really interested in talking about is your origin story. So what were you like as a kid? How did it all get started? Did you have entrepreneurial qualities when you were a kid? Take me along that journey from day one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I get asked this a few times because obviously being in the podcast world, people interview and ask these sort of questions. So I've thought about it a lot, but honestly, I don't think I was that entrepreneurial growing up. I just loved doing everything. So I would sing, I'd play every single sport, I would do debating, I'd do, maths, and I just wanted to try everything. And I think that potentially has been a good quality going into business, that you don't silo yourself into one thing. I think a lot of people pigeonhole themselves. They think, oh, well, I'm just an engineer, or I'm just a sports player or whatever. I don't have these other skills. But because I just did everything as a kid, I was lucky to get exposure to everything. And I really ended up gravitating towards fitness and sport, which is why I ended up opening the gyms, is because that was just a passion of mine. That was an interest of mine. I liked art as well. I started in digital media in university, and then I transitioned into exercise physiology because even though I loved art and it was where I thought I had a career, I was so passionate about fitness, I gravitated into exercise physiology in the end.
And what was that segue into fitness? What was it that made fitness attractive to you in those early days?
So I was like every Australian kid, I was just into every sport, but fitness in particular, so the gym, the reason I did the gym was mainly because I was insecure. Like a lot of young teenage boys that go to the gym, they just want to get bigger, feel more confident. And so that's ultimately what drove me into fitness and kind of started me on that path.
And within that fitness journey, I guess there's a lot of discipline and principles that come with that. Talk me through, I guess, a bit of that journey, and I know you competed a little bit, so talk me through that fitness journey that you went through after starting to study physiology and whatnot.
Yeah, so I started like most people do with typical sort of go to fitness first, figure it out for yourself. But then what I found and what really changed it for me was CrossFit. And a lot of people have heard of CrossFit, they may have even done it before. But the reason CrossFit was different is because at the time it was an emerging fitness brand, and the model at which the gyms were being used, or the sport of CrossFit, or CrossFit the discipline, was being delivered, was in this completely new gym model. So they were called like affiliates, and they were these small garage gyms. People were opening them in their two-door garage. And before that, you needed millions of dollars in fitness equipment. So it attracted a whole new generation of fitness entrepreneurs as well. So not only was I doing this new hardcore training that no one was doing before in this dingy warehouse that was like cool and unknown, and we were kind of like, the early adopters of the movement, but we're also surrounded by business owners and entrepreneurs and people that wanted to be a part of this new wave of fitness. And so from so many different aspects, that experience, I think, gave me a lot of confidence for whatever I wanted to do next.
And is that the kind of area where you met Raf, your business partner? Is that how you guys started talking about the idea of the initial Creature Fitness?
Exactly, yeah. So that is where I met Raf, but we were introduced to a mutual friend, and he ended up being our 3rd business partner. He's no longer a business partner. He's moved on to other things, but yeah, that's how we all got connected in the gym environment.
Yeah, awesome. And so talk me through that. So how does the idea to actually start your own business come about, and what happens after that?
I think like a lot of business owners, they take what they're doing now and they go, I can do this better. And that's what it was for us. We saw this gym, it was good, but we had ideas about how we could do it better. And because we got a little bit of insight into the model, being clients, but also I was a staff member at that gym, I saw, okay, there's an opportunity here to, potentially find a different area whereas CrossFit's not as saturated, but also just, operationally run things better. These were all things that really kind of, I guess, attracted me to starting my own facility.
And I can say, wholeheartedly, I've been training on and off since I was, 15, 16, but now I know what real training is coming into that, so I can see how you've developed that framework. Talk me through how you guys got involved in the podcast as well, because I know you have the #1 fitness podcast in Australia, and I think at that time when you guys started, podcasting wasn't really a thing. So talk me through that and how you think it's paid dividends in your journey as well.
Yeah, so, we started the podcast probably, just less than a year into it, but just to tell you how small podcasts were at the time, when we used to ask people to come on the podcast, in that same breath, we were explaining to them what our podcast was. So we were early adopters of podcasting, and just like we're early adopters of CrossFit, we just wanted to do a version of it for ourselves. It was a bit of a struggle in the beginning, but ultimately, we stuck through it, and the numbers were small. Like, they were very, very small in the beginning. I think it took us 9-10 months to get to 100 downloads just for one episode. But then, we ended up getting an opportunity to travel overseas to America, interview people over there, and it just snowballed. And, with new media, it's very exponential. So overnight, you can become very popular, very successful if you
100%.
put the work in before.
And it's that whole thing. I think it's just that element of patience, and you chip away at it constantly, and eventually it grows. And I think that's the same principle that you can take into business.
Definitely.
And so talk me a bit about the progression of Creature, and then obviously I know you guys are working on this new project, Locker Room, which I think is going to blow away the fitness industry in Australia. So talk me through that little, that 7 years of Creature, how it progressed, and how you've landed at Locker Room.
Yeah. So Creature started as a CrossFit gym, so most people know it's, big warehouse, sweaty, dirty, lots of people in the class, and that's how it started. But eventually, as the market became more saturated, as there was more progression, the standards lifted in terms of what was expected. And so, being entrepreneurial, we wanted to innovate and stay ahead of the curve. And so we realized, okay, our big gym, let's sell it. It's too big now, and let's go more boutique. And so we shrunk the class sizes, we changed the offering, we changed the model, the programming, and eventually we realized that Creature Fitness would no longer fulfill, I guess, our ambitions for what we wanted as a brand and as gym owners. And that's where Locker Room came in. There was a niche, there was a segment of the market we identified that we were serving probably 20-30% at Creature, which was these founders, executives, partners, directors that needed something just for them that they didn't really have. There were gyms that would service them as part of their overall offering, but there wasn't a gym that was specifically just for these high performers. And we wanted to create a space that was just for them.
Yeah, so that's awesome, and I love what you guys are doing. And I think what becomes very dangerous about operators like you is not only are you fantastic in a technical sense and great at building fitness programs and obviously very good at your craft, but you're also a very strong entrepreneur, and you're somebody who's been able to build a business around that craft. And I think that makes somebody very dangerous in a business sense. And I guess what I'd like to know from you, just to finish off this conversation, is if you could nut down your success to one trait, what would that trait be?
This is probably not the right word for it, but I guess resilience. I wouldn't say resilient in the sense that I can bounce back from maybe the worst loss in the world, only because I haven't experienced that necessarily. But I feel like no matter how stressful things get, I just always seem to be able to see the silver lining in everything. There's been a lot of stuff on our plate with opening this gym through the pandemic, but yeah, just being able to see that silver lining, I think, gets you through, and it's good for leadership, right? It gets your team through when they feel like there's no belief. Like, you have to have the belief at the end of the day.
100%. I think you build a tolerance to that stuff, and I also think, if your leader's panicked, then the whole team's panicked and things fall apart. So 100% agree with that and align with that. Much appreciate you coming on, and I'll see you in the gym, I'm sure.
Perfect.